monster eater, chunky and chalky, drooling a filthy froth and inky Rorschach of grandma's ashes and divine excrement. That dark charcoal-stained teeth, smudging wickedly obscene images that resemble lustful lips pursed for forbidden, unrequited desire, the sin. Each tooth biting into the earth like fingers picking for low-hanging fruit, dangling like a limp wrist, for the taste of a putrid, worm-ridden apple from a garden of beautiful woman, geophagia, and slutty helmets between the bitty cavities of fertile seed, where the sower sows indiscriminately. Or so he says before the boy coughs a bloody lung, an otherworldly parasite into the sacred, because not all pips are birthed from mother's great expectations. Holy shit. Sweaty backs huddled by the locker room trash can, smelling of 8-mile runs and no showers, gripping and tugging the uniform shorts, digging their thumbs into his drawers as if scraping for far ends, shoveling slurs to unearth the bone. Where the grimy showers like headless roaches, clinging notions of past generations.
Take his fucking clothes, tag your ass, yeah, with those clothes, tag your ass, yeah, with those shoes, beat his ass and fucking take his clothes, take his ass and take his fucking clothes, tag your ass, yeah, with those clothes, tag your ass, yeah, with those shoes, beat his ass and fucking take his clothes, take his ass and take his fucking clothes, tag your ass, yeah, with those clothes, tag your ass, yeah, with those shoes. Beat his ass and fucking take his coat. Beat his ass and take his fucking clothes. Tag your ass, yeah, with those clothes. Tag your ass, yeah, with those shoes. Beat his ass and fucking take his coat. Beat his ass and take his fucking clothes. Tag your ass, yeah, with those clothes. Tag your ass, yeah, with those shoes. Beat his ass and fucking take his
Softly weeping beneath the gentle lashes, shedding tear like snakeskin. His fragile spine protruding hide exposed her piercing eyes, because toxins infest the brain like gay shit or other bad thoughts. His nails coated black, now chipped and fractured, because The jagged edges would attract a straight line of barbed wire castigation. Along the proud turfs his delicate features washed with terror, for his sickly insides are sensitive to flesh scratching like his long feminine legs, as they are relentlessly dragged outside to the hills beside the brother's house. Eat dirt and be purified. I cannot see, no, I cannot see, no, it's God looking at me, no, it's God looking at me, no, yeah, what's better than you and me, what's better than, hey, we, yeah. Just memories. Just I don't know. I always felt like disconnected from my culture in a way, to the point where I feel like subconsciously I thought, I'm not really Mexican. Just like growing up and getting my head shaved, like I look in the mirror and stuff and look at myself and my long eyelashes and things, and just like, I don't know. I thought it was bad to be feminine because I wasn't really like into that masculine kind of stuff, like a machismo culture, like being prideful, wasn't into sports, never really had a girlfriend or anything, just wasn't interested in those things. And like, I remember people asking, oh, are you gay? Or like, it'd be like, you should be a priest because like you'll never get a girlfriend or something, just like stupid stuff like that. And just feeling like I'm not enough because I'm too skinny, I'm not big and prideful, like just all those things. And like, I'm quiet and I'm shy, and I felt like I was never able to truly express myself. And even when I did, I felt like I was still being judged, like getting called like the F word, and like people assuming, oh, you're bisexual or something, despite that I never said nothing. And I don't know, just the feeling of being different from the rest of my counterparts just made me feel like, I'm not Hispanic. I don't identify with being Hispanic. Things like that just made me never want to really connect with my culture. And I feel like coming here in Northwestern and stuff and taking Latin studies class or whatever, it's kind of like helped me realize that those two things can coexist, and like I can embrace my culture while also embracing myself and living who I am and accepting who I am and expressing who I am without being worried that I'm an outsider. Like, I'm taking Spanish seriously now. I'm doing research for communities, Latinx communities in Chicago, and I don't know, I still think about the moments where like even the people who love me getting mad at me for painting my nails and stuff, and just the way that I wanted to be like, just like they still come up to me, but I realized like traditions and those like Latinidad or patriarchal ideas of what it means to be Latin American are just not valid. And you know, it's up to us to define who we are in the future. And I just hope that in all these ways I'm embracing myself and my culture, that people back home will embrace who I am too, in the same way they did and could have done before. Hey, I just want to ask a few questions about how your experiences and environments have shaped your queer and Latinx identity and your self-expression, and just anything along those lines, you know?
Okay, so I grew up in a very traditional Latin American family. Well, I only lived with my mother, and she was a pretty traditional Catholic, so she believed in starting a family and just having children, which is something I want. But so my sister is old. She's gay, so she's always put an emphasis on me being straight for as long as I've lived. Even when I was 5 years old and I had a girl best friend, she was like, "You don't love her that way, do you?" And then she was like, "You're straight, right? You're not gay. You don't like girls." And it was always a weird feeling. Wait, sorry, something. Okay. It was just a weird feeling. Knowing that I wouldn't be able to express myself, and because of that, I didn't really come out until my senior year of high school, after realizing that it's okay to both. I am bisexual, so I like both men and women, but it's also okay to like women, and that doesn't interfere with my Latin identity. At first, I was just when I first came out, I felt very guilty, and I couldn't really look at my mom in the eye, or I just felt really depressed, because even though I was out and at least to my friends, and was able to express myself, I felt like I was hiding a secret from her. But ever since I came to Northwestern and I met other queer Latino students, I felt like it's okay to express yourself, and just because you're queer doesn't mean you can't be gay, and you can't be Latinx, and be prideful of your identity, because they're not mutually exclusive.
I don't know where to begin. Let's see. I guess something that really prevented me from coming out and stuff was being from the Latinx community, the Mexican community. They don't really I guess they shame you for being gay or queer or trans, or they just don't accept you or believe that it's real or it's a thing. They just believe that it's something that just came out, or it's a fad, but it's not. People have been queer for a long time. I came out as trans when I was in 8th grade. I came out very young, so my mom thought that it was just a phase that I was going through, but it wasn't. Around the year freshman year of high school, that's when I started going to therapy, and to get approved for hormones like testosterone, to help change my voice and my body. And my mom would go into these meetings, and I think one thing that really confuses Latinx parents is the difference between sexuality and gender identity. And that's what she didn't understand, because I was transgender, but I was also pansexual, and she didn't understand that, because as a transgender man, I did date men, so that's one thing that really confused her. And so yeah, but around beginning of sophomore year of high school, she agreed to me taking testosterone, and I started to change my body, and it felt so good to finally feel the way that I want to look. And when my voice changed 4 months in, it was so crazy to me that I don't know, it was just euphoria, gender euphoria.
I don't know, I feel I guess all queer people know the avoiding the questions, or the I'm just so busy with school, I'm not dating anyone, just the traditional avoidance strategies. But obviously people would assume something was different or off. And I just remember this was something I shared with my friends a couple weeks ago when I was younger. And I just remember my dad yelling at me, stop being such a fucking faggot, or something like that. And it was just I was younger, I was probably 3rd grade. And it was just like I didn't even really know who I was at that point. Like I don't think I was really even aware of my own like sexual identity or my queer identity. And so like just having that in my memory, like knowing that like as I continue to grow up is something that definitely like affected my personal perception of self. But also I didn't really have a strong Latino community or like Latinx community growing up either. Like outside of my family, because my family's Colombian, and my area, like my parents didn't have any friends that weren't like from work or from like the other moms at school. And like even the other like Latinx people that like my parents were friends with, they would be like El Salvadorian or Mexican, but there was not like I had no like Colombian community apart from like my immediate family and then like my grandparents, maybe like my cousins when I went like back to Colombia. And it's just like so for me, the strongest connection I have to like my identity as a Colombian is Shakira. And like it's like a big joke, like, oh, I love Shakira, like I'm a big fan of Shakira. But like listening to Shakira's music and Menudo with my mom and Maná, and like listening to that music, and like even when I was younger I didn't like really know Spanish, and just like knowing the songs, so like I would like babble through them, like even though I didn't know like the lyrics. Like those are like some of my favorite memories that I attach to my identity. And like I was listening to Shakira this morning because I was missing my family a lot, like this past couple weeks. I was watching the documentary, and all I could think about is like feeling like the memories of like times that I was sitting with my mom in the car, just like this music was playing while we were cleaning the house.
My identity as a non-binary Latinx person never really played a big part in how I view myself, like in general in my life. I never was able to connect, I guess, maybe connect isn't the right word, just like see it as something that was a big part of my life. Yeah, I mean, I always saw it as another little part of me rather than like this part of me. To me it was the same as me liking a certain food or me enjoying this hobby. It was just part of the many little things that made me. And growing up in the United States, that was kind of really weird because I noticed a lot of LGBTQ people in the United States find a lot of pride and like community based on their identity, and even more so based on like if they're Latinx and LGBTQ. But I never had a desire to go out and find people like me. I was able to relate just fine with people who identified different than I did. And maybe in that way I'm kind of privileged, but it also made me worry that I didn't have much desire to go out and like participate in these groups that solely focused on bringing people together through identity.
Growing up, I felt comfortable being Latino, but that's only because I grew up speaking Spanish, and that's just what I always route. I was raised around like family like really strong Latinas, and it was like so much like women power growing up. But like I didn't watch like Power Rangers, like I was watching Winx Club, and that's just because all my cousins were girls, all my aunts and cousins were girls. Like I didn't talk to any of my uncles, but my father obviously had like issues with that. Something that's like specifically apparent is just like my hair, which is really weird, but I actually started growing out my hair in middle school, kind of like to rebel against my dad, because he would shave my head like all of elementary school because he was like you men don't have hair, like you need to have like short hair. All of my uncles had like shaved heads, like a little cholo moment, and I hated it. I really just wanted like longer hair, just to have hair, period. So like just growing up, like my father was very much he represented a lot of like the machismo culture. Like, well, I had since I was around lots of women, I was cooking, cleaning, doing that sort of things. But when it came down to dinner, like my father came home, it would be like he would just be sitting at the table, and if I was like, oh, I'm gonna go serve myself my own food, he'd be like, oh no, sit down, like your sister will get it for you. It was just like small things like that growing up that I was just like I was very much uncomfortable with, and I didn't agree with.
And what I want to ask for the last question is what it means to you to be Latinx, especially as someone who's queer, as, you know, Latinidad is exclusive to such identities. And I'm just wondering, as a young person, how would you define it?
It just means having a culture and a group of people to connect to, and I really love the food, and I do love the traditions, even if some of the traditions like kind of interfere with the other part of my identity. Like, I do want to start a family, and I am also Catholic, so I am pretty religious, although I obviously don't agree with like Catholicism and their disagreement with gay people. And I feel like it's possible to be both, even if sometimes there is some interference on traditionality on queerness.
And just like involving myself in my community and what we stand for, and just loving each other, because we should.
I wish I had like a comprehensive definition of what like Latino was to me, but considering like I'm still not like fully centered in my own identity, because I'm still battling with like the ideas of whiteness and the ideas of being in these institutions and the ideas of like not being able to reconcile my queerness in myself before I can even reconcile queerness with any of my other identities.
Yeah, in high school, I guess I got a lot more comfortable being myself, I guess. Like, I had my long hair. I was always feminine. I never really had like a masculine, like forced ego, I guess. But I do, like, just a lot of times, like, my dad would be like, you walk like a girl. Like, he would force me to man spread in the car because I wouldn't cross my legs. I would just have them closed, and like I would have my bag in front of me, but he would be like, you're sitting like a girl, like you need to like spread your legs apart. And I'm just like, that's so whack. And then even like on public transport, like if I do the same thing, he'd be like sit correctly. And I used to do this. I used to do the hand flick in elementary school, but I just did it, and that came that was so bad for my dad. Like, he would like smack my hand if he ever saw me do it in public. It became a very like taboo thing for me. But also I couldn't really hide that I was gay, just because I've always had like a gay stereotypical voice. So growing up, I did have like lots of my uncles and like cousins be like, why do you talk like that? What's wrong with your voice? I'm like, this is my voice. Like, it's just so weird.
Yeah.
And it's like that, what's up, fool? But I do care about being Latino. It's very, I feel warm and I feel like I'm at home. Like, being at school, like I felt a little uncomfortable because like there's so many white people here.
Yes.
And even though it's like a high Latino population, like sometimes you just don't see them. But in the cafeteria it's like all Latinos in there, and like they play Selena like on the radio, and they just play like Spanish music. So getting to like talk to them and speak in Spanish with them is like, it feels like home. So that's also just like what being Latino feels like. It feels like home because like it just reminds me of like my family, and like a lot of my friends are Latino too. Me too.
I want them to stay as like little things that are part of the millions of other little things that make me.